Okay, so first up, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about doing your English courses. So, English courses, all except for reading skills, are really organized very similarly, where you have 4 units, then 4 units. Each unit has several writing assignments. So, I'm going to show you what that organization looks like. I'm going to go ahead and go into Unit 1. And one thing you should notice, just like all of our courses, there is a bucket of purpose points, which are the things that you need to be doing that the teacher tells you to do. Okay? So, one thing you need to know about English is you have readings. Okay? So, these English readings, I always advise that students bring up the reading materials. So if you click on reading materials, you can keep this pop-up open while you do the quiz, okay? You could also save this like you do your key terms and make and have every short story, every reading material that you use saved to your Google Drive, right? So this is your reading materials, and one really good thing you can do is you can come up here and you can do, oh, I have to move my, pardon me, my window is in the way again. You can come up here and you can do find. You can also do Control F, right? So I can also hit the keyboard Control F1, no, I'm sorry, Control F in general, and do fine. So let's say he's talking about, I know they're talking about writer's life in here. So the one guy talks about how easy it was to come up with ideas, right? And then the other writer says that it's hard and they rewrite over and over. So if they ask a question about easy, I could search for that. This is really a point where you can look at your key terms in your question and find it in the text, okay? So I can keep this open while I go in and do my quiz. So sometimes you will have a reading and then you will have a study. Sometimes you have a study and then a reading. It just depends, right? So we have a reading, we have a study, and then a quiz. So basically we read the reading and then this study teaches us about some of the things we were supposed to learn from this reading. So there are specific examples from this author of the essay that you just read, and we have these interactives where in 35 words or fewer to explain why you think writing or speaking is more important. I do have to tell you that you do not turn these in. This does not go to the teacher. So you can type whatever you want in this box, hit submit, and you're going to find out what they suggest the answer would be, right? So just so you know that, not to say the things you type in the studies are not important, because it is good that you think about those things, but they're not something that's getting turned into the teacher. And we have some interactives, and some interactives can be really important in English because sometimes the interactive is going to be an answer in the test. So for example, this transcript for this interactive, there are specific writings where they talk about purpose, and I know that one of the quiz questions comes directly from this interactive for this unit, okay? So other things to talk about, and this is where I have to go to my outline. So we have our readings, we have our quiz. So if I went to a quiz now, I could not keep the study open for this quiz about Pluto, but I can have the reading materials open. Okay, so my reading materials are still open back here. And if I went to this quiz, I could then search my reading materials, right? Okay. The other thing that I can do is always go back to notes and key terms too. And if I'm really stuck on a question, I can navigate back to the study, right? So I can come up here and I can say, I don't remember where that was, but I think it was in this study and I think it was further along. So I'm going to go straight to page 5, right? And look for the answer in the study. It's not like once you go to the quiz, you can't go back to the study. You can go back to the study, you just can't have it open at the same time, right? Okay, so you've done a quiz and you've gotten your score and you've referred to the reading during it in your notes, of course. When you get to the end of a unit in English, you're going to have a writing assignment, okay? The writing assignments are a little weird because they have the write, which this first part describes how you're going to do it, okay? And usually this has a longer writing guide. I actually would tell students when I taught this course to use the writing guide for your writing. And remember, you can go ahead and you can download this and you can type right in it, okay? When you go to the assignment, and notice this has all sorts of details about how you're supposed to write this, right? So this is what is supposed to be helping you do this writing assignment. So highly recommend you use this part to write, okay? For example, one of the things that they talk about is slang or informal phrases. If you go back to that sample essay you're supposed to revise, you'll find slang and informal phrases that you're supposed to fix, okay? Another thing that they talk about is specific commonly misspelled words. One of these is misspelled in the sample essay you're supposed to use, okay? So really make sure you're digging in on this, right? Now, right here, the practice is actually just a little bit like a mini version of the writing guide. So the writing guide is much more detailed and much better for helping you step by step. But this will tell you what you need to do for this assignment. And the nice thing about the writing guide, so if you scroll down to the bottom, you have this rubric that tells you exactly what you need to have, right? And one of the things I notice about this rubric is they talk about spelling, capitalization, and the use of colons and semicolons. So I know that when I write this essay, I better look at the spelling, the capitalization, and the semicolons because there's going to be something there that I need to do, right? And this, again, is something you can download and put on your computer. And finally, once you've done the writing and the practice, you're going to get to a CST just like every other class. Before the CST, you do have your checkup and your review, and make sure you go through those because those will prepare you for the CST. And then the CST looks just like a quiz, but you have to have it unlocked by the teacher. So the CST, multiple choice, many more questions. I hope you do great in English.